What's the next stage?
Welcome back after a month-long hiatus to another review from me, Media Azlakova. As you can tell from the video's title, this is another Sentai review, this time on Go-Onger, the show that aired 2 years before Go-Onger. But unlike Go-Onger, this isn't part of a series of videos. This one right here is the one and done. It almost wasn't, but I deleted any evidence of that. Anyway, let's talk about the actual show now. Go-Onger follows the story of, well, the Go-Ongers obviously. A group of people who fight alongside their engine partners to fight off the villainous organization known as Gyark, who intend to pollute the planet Earth. At the start, or more accurately just the first episode, the Go-Ongers are made up of Sosuke, or Go-On Red, Ren, or Go-On Blue, and Saki, or Go-On Yellow. They are then soon joined by Haunt, or Go-On Green, and Gunpei, or Go-On Black. These five fight together as the Go-Ongers until about episode 16, where the GoOnwings, Hiroto, or Go-On Gold, and Miyu, or Go-On Silver, are introduced. They, like a lot of Six Rangers, start as rivals to Go-Ongers, till they finally warm up to them as the show goes on. Yeah, that's essentially it for a plot, to be honest, without me literally recapping the show. Honestly, Go-Onger kinda doesn't have much of a major plot, to be honest. It's sorta like Zenkaiger in that way, or more accurately, Zenkaiger's like Go-Onger in that way. But like in Zenkaiger, that doesn't bother me much, because the fact that like the characters are fun, alongside the serious moments that Go-Onger have being pretty solid as well, such as the Koretsu O debut, or the arc of the Go-Onwings and Kira Meki Midas. But I'll elaborate on some of that later as we get into the character section of the video. Before we talk more properly of the Go-Ongers themselves as characters, let's first talk about their buddies, the Engines. The Engines are beings from a world called Engine World. In that world, beings who are part vehicle and part animal exist, which is how you get things such as Speedor, who's a race car and a condor in one, and Burka, who's a motorcycle and an orca in one. Honestly, the Engines are probably some of the coolest mechs in Sentai, as their mixture of their fun personality and voices, alongside their imaginative designs, makes them super appealing to me. My favorite of the Engines being Jumbo Whale, due to the fact that I think his voice is the funniest out of all the Engines, and his whole gimmick of being the creator of the Go-Onger's technology and such makes him mad interesting to me. But there's also the Ancient Engines, or Kishimoff, T-Line, and K-Line, who despite being the engines that lack the most personality, mainly due to the fact that they speak in nothing but dinosaur sound effects, every scene that they're involved in is interesting. Such as their introduction where they decide to become partners with Sosuke because of how passionate he is, or when the other engines are able to break through to them when they're being mind controlled, causing for the formation of the greatest robot formation in the show, Engine OG-12, which before that, every engine gets to do a roll call, Kishimoff, T-Line, and K-Line getting actual subtitles for their dialogue so that they can be part of the roll call. Special here mainly because of the fact that the Ancient Engines never get subtitles again for their dialogue. But yeah, the Engines are pretty cool. Let's go on to the actual characters of the show by talking about the main five Go-Ongers as the group. That being the embodiment of every loud and stupid shonen anime protagonist ever made, Sosuke, the motherly genius of the group, Ren, the always positively smiling Saki, the forever part-timer youngest member of the team, Haunt, and the overly serious stickler for justice, Gunpei. Honestly, these guys are a massive reason for me liking the show as much as I do. Mainly because, well, they're all massive goofballs that are fun to watch on screen. Seeing these guys just hang out together puts a massive smile on my face due to how well they're able to bounce off of each other. This is all despite the fact that none of them really grow as characters that much throughout the show, which some may have a problem with, but I think they pull it off well enough that I don't exactly mind. Mainly because they all get pretty good focus episodes. Such as when Sosuke fights against a man who has lost all hope of living a decent life from using engines to destroy Japan in his rage. With the passion that Sosuke shows being able to break the man out of his depressive spiral and be able to move on with his life. There's also the episode where we learn about a statue on the island resort Ren's family owns, that Ren values the possession that reminds him of his late mother, that he often mimics of his treatment of the Go-Ongers. This is then escalated by the fact that Ren has to destroy the statue as it was secretly a Gyark member in disguise, with Ren being able to move on from it and his mother by acknowledging the new family he found within the Go-Ongers. Or Saki's episode with Miyu, where she's able to break down some of Miyu's barriers with her overly positive attitude. There's also Haunt's episode where he meets the old lady picking up junk in the forest. In this, he wears female clothing in order to remind the grandmother of her granddaughter. Well, until it's revealed the grandmother's a witch from Junk World who tries to use a refrigerator to fill the planet with trash, until she decides not to, seeing the goodness in people in Hunt's kindness. Finally, but not least, there's Gunpei's episode, where he joins back with his old tech buddy in order to figure out a Gyark case. Where the episode reveals to us that Gunpei's entire reasons for wanting to properly join the Go-Ongers is that so he can finally fight against the Gyark due to hating the justice system's lack of action when it came to dealing with Gyark and their plans. Which each of these episodes showing off why I like and care about these five idiots. This is compounded even harder when you take the Go-Onwings into account. The Go-Onwings, like most Six Rangers, is the polar opposite of the main Ranger cast, with the overly confident to a fault Hiroto, and the tender though she finds weak and pathetic Miyu. These rich siblings, who are also psychic, start out the show finding the Go-Ongers to be a bunch of idiots who get in their way, which at first, they're kinda right. The Go-Ongers simply cannot keep up with the Go-Onwings in any way. Not just in the Go-Onwings introduction where they're an easily reckoned enemy that the Go-Ongers and their engine partners had no chance of properly defeating. The most important point about what I mentioned is that the Go-Ongers never truly give up in their efforts of fighting against monsters, even when the Go-Onwings outclass them, leading to the Go-Ongers getting to the Go-Onwings' good graces, mainly shown through Sosuke, such as in episode 18 where Miyu is captured by much of the weaks and Sosuke risks the chance of almost losing the ability to transform in order to be able to save Miyu. Or in episode 22 where Sosuke sets up a race between Hiroto and the sworn enemy of the Go-Onwings in order to fulfill that enemy's supposed dying request. But the only reason the Go-Onwings are saved from such an obvious trap is the simple earnestness of the Go-Ongers, as they travel to this island in their mechs in order to cheer Hiroto and the supposedly dying villain on their race. An action made completely out of emotion is what stopped Hiroto and Miyu from dying on this island to the Guy arc. This is compounded even more within the next episode, where Hiroto finally puts his full trust in Sosuke to be able to finally kill the Go-Onwings' sworn enemy, which is powerful because Sosuke's loudness and stupidity completely contrast Hiroto's calmness and planning. So seeing Hiroto acknowledge the value in what Sosuke does shows how he's grown as a person. Also, Miyu, while not having as profound of a development, has some nice moments, such as the aforementioned episodes of Saki, and her very briefly mentioned crush on Sosuke, which is kinda cute. I personally would ship it, to be honest. There's also the villains, or Gaiar, who are actually cool for once. I think the main thing that makes Yogostein, Kagaleshia, and Kita Knight work so well is that you actually feel like they're about as much as friends as the Go-Ongers are friends. So just like how I find the Go-Onger's banter to be fun, I also find the Gaiar expander to be fun as well. This is what makes it hit even harder when Yogostein dies. You just don't have the same dynamic anymore, and it just kinda sucks to see. Like, we're never gonna have the three of them playing their villain theme as a band, and it being the hypest thing in the world. Or Kagaleshia forming an idol group known as She-3 Princess to stop a monster, and the other Go-Ongers and the Gaiar leaders cheer them on in the background. There are other Gaiar members, such as Hirameki Midas, who was the Go-Onwings enemy I mentioned earlier. He was pretty cool, but was short-lived. There was also Kirazeki, who has a pretty cool design, but is killed within 2 episodes by the Go-Ongers. There's also the final villain, Yogashimax Kritane, who outside of giving the Go-Ongers someone to fight, doesn't have much to his overall character. And everything that he does, I would rather leave to you, the audience, experience for yourself, if I convince you to watch the show. Kinda like how I didn't mention the idea of the different dimensions existing in Go-Onger, which is where you get things like the Junk World Witch from Junk World, the fact that the engines that guy that Sosuke beat up are samurai versions of the Go-Onger's main mech from Samurai World, where the Go-Onger's movie take place. There's also the monster that necessitates the needs which each creature says to be formed, being from Sound World. Also episodes such as Hiroto raising an angular fish monster from Storm World, or Miyu sneaking into a school and meets a kid who knows how to use magic from Magic World. Yeah, Go-Onger's a pretty weird show, but I like it, as you can probably tell from the rest of the video. Honestly, if you're interested, I would say give it a watch, as it's a pretty fun time, with a group of pretty equally likable main characters and villains throughout its entire run, and some of the coolest mechs in all of Sentai. So anyway, leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Also subscribe and hit the bell, and share the video with your friends, as I see you in another review where I'm hopefully just as positive.